Hello guys, this is Shiraz Amazing Videos. Review of the Ford Mustang Velocity. In 2024, how would a resto-modified 1967 pony car feel? Something is there, isn't it? This vintage 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback Coupe is what you're looking at. These days, they certainly don't make them like this. They only do so because Velocity Restorations, who restore vintage American cars with a contemporary flair, is also the builder of this brand new Mustang. Velocity is an expert in restoring classic Ford Mustang, Bronco, and pickup truck models. They also work on other vehicles, such as vintage Scouts and classic Chevrolet Blazers. In addition to performing a thorough restoration, Velocity upgrades the HVAC, electrical system, and powertrain with cutting-edge components that should, well, function. In certain trim levels, it also includes an infotainment system with a backup camera and a Bluetooth-capable radio, among other contemporary conveniences. A new braking system, fully restored interior, and custom suspension hardware are also present. In essence, it is a custom car inside a 1967 Mustang body, which some sticklers for precise authenticity might object to. For those who are unduly bothered about provenance, they would be better off looking somewhere else. The construction of a car that is frequently viewed through rose-colored glasses is fascinating, but it's very easy to get really enthusiast about the whole thing. This particular Mustang belongs to Velocity's Signature series, which is a trim level that includes the majority of the company's offerings. The Street series adds additional modern gadgets and a few more luxuries. Ford's popular third-generation 5.0-liter Coyote V8 is housed under the hood in an engine bay that is far too small for it. It is supported by new headers, a radiator, and other custom hardware, and because of space constraints, the battery is moved to the back of the vehicle. Ford's 10-speed automatic transmission is mated to this 460 horsepower engine. However, buyers have the option to order their vehicles with a 6-speed manual, which is highly recommended for reasons that will become clearer later. Everything is mounted on a specially designed Roadster shop-spec chassis that includes a Ford 9-inch rear axle, Fox coilover springs for the suspension, bare disc brakes all around, and a specially designed fuel tank. A performance exhaust system and 17-inch aluminum wheels complete the look. Let us begin with a major plus. This 1967 Mustang build is simply amazing. Its contrasted 17-inch aluminum wheels and black paint give it a stunning yet sinister appearance. Complete with yellow fog lamps, the Mustang exuded a classic, rugged appearance. To support its presence, it is also equipped with an engine that is more powerful than it was designed to be. To put it succinctly, it is a recreation of the iconic Mustang more in line with our perception of it than with its real performance from the 1960s. Having said that, it takes some getting used to the combination of modern components and vintage hardware, so getting into Velocity's monstrous Mustang for the first time is quite unsettling. The only interior components that show the mod side of the resto mod are digital gauges, a contemporary rear-view mirror, and an off-the-shelf Bluetooth radio. The rest of the interior is tastefully restored but minimalist. Everything works as it used to, including the lights, window wipers, and side mirrors that wouldn't stay in one spot. The window handles are powered but have a vintage crank-like appearance. The focal point of the display is a stunning wooden steering wheel that enhances the tactile aspect of the experience and evokes nostalgia for a time you were most likely not even alive for. The 5.0 gives the Mustang an amazing, powerful sway at startup, but it also has a bad habit of rattling any non-bolted down parts that move or fall off. Although it might sound disparaging, the majority of these are endearing peculiarities of owning a vintage vehicle. Yes, we spend a lot of time enjoying the many contemporary car features we take for granted during our time with the Velocity Mustang, but we also relish the opportunity to spend time in a gorgeously analog car that truly feels like a living, breathing thing. Driving a car that feels a little out of place on today's roads presented some challenges, but most of them were simply the result of adjusting to a car that is essentially an oddball combination of parts that shouldn't go together. You can never take anything for granted. What size is the fuel tank? Is this gauge merely decorative or does it actually function? If yes, is the calibration correct? The speedo is the same. What kind of brakes do I have, and do they even work? This means that nothing can be taken for granted, so you have to drive carefully and keep an eye on everything. Thankfully, the Velocity Mustang eventually demonstrates that it replicates the classic car experience without having to imitate that particular aspect. Those who have spent time in vintage cars are aware of this as standard procedure. If there's a traditional, non-quirky negative about the car, it's the 10-speed Ford transmission, which ruins new Mustangs, never mind this particular one. This transmission makes a new Mustang more boring, overly active for driving a sports car, and unusable in manual mode. It's even worse here. During normal shifts, the gearbox is hesitant, slow, and incredibly clunky. The gauge indicates that it can be switched to manual, but it only goes into a more aggressive, sport, mode, giving the impression that you are a novice driver of an expensive and rare sports car. The most egregious aspect is that having that 5.0-liter up front is somewhat less enjoyable. The transmission never lets you fully let loose, so putting your foot down for a loud rev is a tease due to the excessive gears. Overall, it just makes driving the car more difficult and is an almost unforgivable complaint in an otherwise amazing car. Any problems that are brought up would be the fault of the driver rather than the build. The Velocity Mustang's undeniable charm is a blessing. Once you get past the terrible gearbox, you'll have a car that makes people happy. The peculiarities of the car take on a personality of their own, and you grow to love it for it. Aside from the transmission, the engine is still ferocious and delivers a ton of power to the rear with frightening ease. You quickly come to appreciate the fact that none of the modern conveniences, such as digital safety features, are there to save the day. It's not so much about making an old car particularly dynamic as it is about bringing it up to standard with a sport suspension and modern brake system. It can be enjoyed on a long rural highway with the windows down and your favorite music blasting. It will turn corners, but take caution when doing so. Given the poor visibility and need for quick reflexes on city streets, driving a Mustang in a more urban environment can be a little nerve-wracking at first, but we discovered that most people were really considerate of the Mustang's space. As you drive it around New York, where everyone has seen it all, you'll find that people approach you at stop signs to discuss the car. When it is normally unheard of, other drivers are happy to yield for the chance to get a better look at the car or to shout praises. There's a certain something about a car that brightens everyone else's day in addition to your own. This Mustang is worthwhile just for that.